Welcome back to another special Comic Yap. This cover speaks volumes about what we're about to get ourselves into. And just look at the logo for the story. Very recognizable. I love the colors. Very nice gradients. The setting is 1966 New York, a time for celebrating love, peace, and taking over the world. And we meet our two main characters, Valencia and Etienne. They're having this conversation, talking about taking over the world is kind of like a joke, a light mental activity to satisfy our inner desires for power. But for these two, it's real. A real question, a real possibility. And look at the smile on his face when he talks about the world being lucky that they're good people. And then we get our first introduction to the superhuman powers this story is based on, why they call themselves the Atomics. And Valencia is pissed at the direction of the conversation. But there's also something cold, inhuman in the look on her face. Like she could kill him, but doesn't simply because it's an inconvenience. Conversation goes on for a while, and then we get the reveal. This is the true Valencia, hidden under the surface layer of human flesh. She's beyond human, and with the conversation getting a bit too dark for her, she contemplates actually killing him. And even though he has powers too, he says he's helpless against her. More conversation and understanding leads to Etienne abandoning his thoughts of world domination and going with plan B, diplomacy. Also notice the people in this panel, they've got no eyes. That's because they're currently under Etienne's psychic powers. Here's the next panel where they go back to normal. Oh yeah, like I was just saying, they have no idea what just happened. He was manipulating the entire city block with his powers so that no one would notice that they were using their powers. Ignorance is bliss, and I choose to be the happiest man on earth. Something this story does often is time skip, but they're very specific on telling you, the reader, when in time you are. Like here, we've jumped 33 years into the future, but we'll be jumping around quite a bit more later in the story. I'm fairly certain this is the current timeline. We're greeted by an aged Etienne having a morning coffee with a reporter named Tanya, who we come to find out also has powers, but it's just to make pretty sparkly lights out of her fingernails, so nowhere near the cataclysmic level Valencia possesses. Kind of like parlor tricks. Is this your card? They start the interview, and it gets dark fast. We've covered regret before, how those who truly carry it with them carry it forever. And Etienne, aged and tested, describes events we aren't aware of yet, but ones that he regrets as having not done enough. Tanya asks about another atomic named Ray, who's currently provoking the United States by flying his floating sanctuary towards Manhattan. And we get this shot as it approaches. It looks pretty cool. Etienne psychically chats with Ray, pleading him to stop his approach as the American government is weak and prideful and will attack if provoked. But Ray won't listen. He thinks they'll be too scared to attack. He sees the powers we have. He talks about the importance of being the first to strike, which parallels the Americans attacking Ray with their giant space laser. We all have one of those, right? And they strike their target perfectly. Ray is split in half. This part is so good. Ray, or Heavy, he's called because he can control gravity, is pissed as he's blown in half. And Etienne's upset. He's more like frustrated because he knows there's only two options left, and he's got to make the ethical one. Tanya's surprised as well by his specific language, saying they tried to kill Heavy, which means they failed. Look at these consecutive panels. Heavy calmly reattaching his whole body, proving just how powerful he really is. No wonder they're scared. But then, at the bottom, Etienne must play referee and control the damage, because someone who can reattach their body surely can wipe out a whole continent. So Etienne contacts Valencia in space, where she lives now. She's watching over the Earth. He's not asking for her to intervene. Rather, he's asking her to stay out of it. Give him the permission to do what must be done to save as many innocent lives as possible. And she looks tired, so very tired. It's the same humanistic mistakes we never fail to make. She gives him the permission and maintains her position, watching for anyone who may be considering using nukes in this situation. After psychically conferring with a few other very powerful atomics, Etienne confronts Heavy and starts the negotiations. I did get a little confused here as to why they're sitting over New York yet arguing about Texas. And I get that they wanted to point out that not all states are voting with the Union in mind, but rather their own agenda. But it just never landed for me. The sentiment's true, but we never really get a sense of that's what's important right now. He's over New York. He's pissed off. He'd attack New York. It's the financial heartbeat of the country. He'd do more damage there. The next segment is dark, so young children and pregnant cats should look away. Etienne knew it would come to this. It's one of the two options. Roy wants the megalomaniac of a president dead. And because of some sort of special shield that should guard against Etienne's psychic powers, he's forced to kill him in an extremely brutal and most likely painful way. But that's not enough for Roy. He wants everyone in the room dead. And everyone who knew they were going to do it dead. Oh, and all their families too. But that's where Etienne draws the line, showing us that ethics over revenge can still be maintained. But for Roy, that's not enough, and negotiations break down. He demands Etienne kill the families. So instead, Etienne flips the script and takes the other atomics as hostages. Roy is devastated. He didn't think he would do it, but Etienne's doing what he must to maintain peace. And as having been the one to kill the president and all those other people, he now has the target on his back instead of Roy. So lines are drawn in the sand, friendships tested. Roy backs off. Oh yeah, and all of this took place while Etienne and Tanya were having a nice cup of coffee on the street. May I remind you that this is just the start of so much more to come? The power fantasy is smart. It reimagines the atomic bomb as individualistic powers capable of toppling continents, mirroring the destructive power of the bombs we currently have. But unlike the cold shell of steel dropped indiscriminately, these are living, breathing bombs. They can theorize, pontificate on the world's future, decide to be good or bad, and make from what they choose reality. And much like the nuclear Cold War we're still in, they work to keep each other in check, maintain a balance, a heightened level of alert that is precariously teetering on war. This superhero story is not about fighting the big bad, but the enemies within. We don't have a big planet. We've run out of places to go. And yet we cling to our bigger and more destructive measures as if it's the only way. How can we still be ethical while holding such immense power? Do ethics really even matter? And if so, who's maintaining it, monitoring it, keeping us all in check? These are the questions the power fantasy poses and starts to unravel, and I absolutely love it. I give the power fantasy 6 eye-exploding presidents out of 5. The pacing, structure, art, color, substance, discussion, they're all on another level. Next time you look in the mirror, ask yourself if you truly know what it means to be ethical. Cheers. Enjoy, thick boy!